The moment my wife kissed my best friend at my own birthday party, I knew my life was about to get interesting. Not the good kind of interesting, the kind that makes your stomach drop and your hands shake while you're holding a beer and trying to pretend you didn't just see what you saw. "Eddie, you okay?" someone asked, but their voice sounded like it was coming through water. I'm Eddie Sanders, 42 years old, owner of Sanders Home Repair, and apparently the biggest fool in Millbrook, Maine. I stood there in my own living room, watching my wife Tanya laugh off what she'd just done like it was some hilarious joke. "Oh my God, Derek, I'm so sorry," Tanya giggled, touching Derek's arm. "I'm such a lightweight with wine." Derek Moss, my best friend since high school, my fishing buddy, the guy who helped me move into this house 5 years ago, was grinning like he'd won the lottery. "No worries, Tan. Happens to the best of us." Happens to the best of us? Since when did accidentally kissing your friend's wife happen to anyone? "Eddie!" Tanya called out, noticing me staring. "Did you see that? I just made a complete fool of myself." The party continued around us. Michelle from Tanya's office was refilling her wine glass, cackling about something with Val, Tanya's boss. Josh Pierce, the new IT guy from Tanya's company, was leaning against my kitchen counter like he owned the place. Everyone was having a grand time at my expense. "Yeah, I saw," I said, forcing a smile that felt like broken glass. Tanya bounced over to me, wine-flushed and giggly. "Baby, I'm so embarrassed. It was supposed to be a cheek kiss, you know? But Derek turned his head at the wrong time and—" "Right," I said. "Wrong time. But here's the thing about being married for 8 years. You learn to read the signs. The way Tanya's eyes darted away when she lied. The way she touched her neck when she was nervous. The way she'd been dressing differently lately, buying new underwear she claimed was just for her. The party wound down around 11. People hugged goodbye, thanked us for the good time, promised to get together soon. Derek was one of the last to leave. "Great party, buddy," he said, slapping my back. 42 looks good on you." "Thanks for coming," I replied, watching how his eyes found Tanya across the room. "Anytime. You know that." After everyone left, I helped Tanya clean up. She chattered about who said what, how much fun everyone had, how she couldn't believe she'd made such a fool of herself with Derek. "You're not mad, are you?" she asked, loading wine glasses into the dishwasher. "Should I be?" "Of course not. It was just a silly accident." I nodded and kept picking up plates, but my mind was racing, connecting dots I'd been ignoring for weeks. The late nights at work, the new gym membership, the way she'd started password protecting her phone. "I'm going to finish up down here," I said. "You go ahead to bed." "You sure?" "Yeah. Happy birthday to me, right?" She kissed my cheek, a real cheek kiss this time, and headed upstairs. I waited until I heard the bedroom door close, then sat down at my kitchen table and really thought about what I'd seen. It wasn't just the kiss. It was the way Derek had looked at her all night. The way Josh Pierce had been hanging around, making jokes that made Tanya laugh too hard. The way Michelle and Val exchanged glances when they thought I wasn't looking. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through the photos from tonight. There, Derek's hand on Tanya's lower back during the group shot. Josh standing way too close to her by the kitchen island. Tanya's body language, leaning into conversations with everyone except me. My phone buzzed with a text from Derek. "Thanks again for tonight. Tanya's looking great these days. You're a lucky man." A lucky man. Right. I sat there until almost 2 in the morning, nursing a beer and staring at that text. By the time I finally went to bed, Tanya was asleep, or pretending to be. I lay there listening to her breathe, wondering how long this had been going on and what I was going to do about it. The next morning, Derek called while I was having coffee. "Hey man," he said, and I could hear something different in his voice. Guilt, maybe. "Listen, about last night." "What about it?" "The thing with Tanya. I should have handled that better. Pulled away faster, you know." "Uh-huh. I mean, she was pretty drunk. And you know how she gets when she's had a few glasses of wine. Friendly. Friendly. That was one word for it. Derek, I said carefully, is there something you want to tell me? Long pause. Too long. Look, Eddie, I'm your friend. Have been for 25 years. And as your friend, I think you should know that Tanya's been… I don't know how to say this. My grip tightened on the phone. Just say it. She's been flirting a lot. Not just with me, with Josh too, maybe others. And last night, after the kiss thing, she pulled me aside and said some things. What kind of things? Things a married woman shouldn't say to her husband's best friend. The coffee in my stomach turned to acid. Such as… She asked if I thought you'd ever find out if she and I, you know. And when I said that was crazy talk, she laughed and said Josh had told her the same thing. I set my coffee cup down very carefully. Josh Pierce. Yeah. Eddie, I think she's playing games. Big ones. And I think you need to know. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time. Tanya was still asleep upstairs. She always slept late on Saturdays. I could hear the shower running in our master bathroom. Could picture her in there. Probably thinking about Derek or Josh or whoever else was currently entertaining her. 8 years of marriage. 8 years of building a life together, buying this house, talking about kids we never had, planning vacations we couldn't quite afford. 8 years of me working my ass off to give her everything she wanted while she what? Cheated? Planned to cheat? Decided I wasn't enough anymore? I went down to my basement workshop and started organizing my tools. When I'm angry, I clean. When I'm really angry, I organize. By noon, I had every screwdriver sorted by size and every wrench hanging in perfect order. That's when I found the receipt. It was wedged behind my workbench, crumpled up like someone had tried to throw it away, but missed the trash can. Hampton Inn, Thursday night, 2 days ago. The night Tanya said she was working late on a project presentation. Room for 2. Charged to a credit card I didn't recognize. I smoothed out the receipt and stared at it. Thursday night. The night she came home after midnight, claiming her team had worked through dinner and lost track of time. The night she went straight to the shower without kissing me hello. Eddie? Tanya's voice drifted down from upstairs. Where are you? Basement, I called back, folding the receipt and putting it in my wallet. What are you doing down there? Just organizing some things. Well, come up when you're done. I'm making pancakes. Pancakes. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't kissed my best friend 12 hours ago. Like she hadn't been screwing around behind my back with God knows who. I climbed the stairs and found her in the kitchen, hair in a messy bun, wearing my old flannel shirt over pajama shorts. She looked beautiful, domestic, innocent, the perfect wife making breakfast for her husband. You're up early for a Saturday, I said. Couldn't sleep. She flipped a pancake with more force than necessary. I keep thinking about last night. I'm so embarrassed, Eddie. I can't believe I did that in front of everyone. Which part embarrasses you more, kissing Derek or getting caught? The spatula paused mid-flip. What's that supposed to mean? Just wondering about your priorities. She turned to face me, and for a second, I saw something flash across her face. Fear? Anger? Calculation? My priority, she said slowly, is our marriage, which is why I'm trying to apologize for making a stupid, drunken mistake. Right. A mistake. What's wrong with you this morning? You're acting weird. I poured myself another cup of coffee and leaned against the counter. Derek called. Oh. She turned back to the pancakes. What did he want? To talk about last night. Apparently you had some interesting conversations after the kiss. Her shoulders tensed. We barely talked at all. That's not what he said. Well, Derek's been drinking a lot since his divorce. Maybe his memory's not so reliable. Maybe. Or maybe you told him some things you shouldn't have. She flipped the last pancake and turned off the burner. When she faced me again, The innocent wife act was gone. Okay, she said. What exactly did Derek tell you? Why don't you tell me what you said to him first? I don't remember every word of every conversation from last night, Eddie. I was drinking, people were talking, things got said. If Derek's trying to cause problems between us, are you sleeping with Josh Pierce? The words hung in the air between us like a live wire. Tanya's face went through a series of expressions: surprise, indignation, guilt, and finally, defiance. Are you seriously asking me that? I'm seriously asking you that. Then the answer is no. I'm not sleeping with Josh or anyone else. I can't believe you'd even… Hampton Inn, Thursday night. Her face went white. You want to try that answer again? Tanya stared at me for a long moment, and I watched her calculate her options. Deny everything, come clean, double down on the lies. I'd seen that look before. It was the same expression she got when she was trying to decide whether to pay a bill or let it slide another month. Where did you find that? She asked finally. Does it matter? It matters to me. Basement, behind my workbench, like someone tried to throw it away but missed. She sat down at the kitchen table, suddenly looking older than her 38 years. It's not what you think. Then explain it to me. Josh was having problems with his roommate. He needed a place to stay for the night, and I felt sorry for him, so I got him a room. I almost laughed. You felt sorry for him? Yes. So sorry that you stayed there with him until midnight? I didn't stay there with him. I dropped him off and came home. Tanya, the receipt shows 2 guests. Another pause. Another calculation. Fine, she said. I stayed for a while. We talked about work stuff, about his situation. It got late, so I crashed on the couch in the room. That's it. On the couch? Yes. In your underwear? What? You came home and went straight to the shower. Didn't even say hello. Usually, when you've been sitting around in work clothes all night, you want to change, not shower. Her defiance cracked a little. I felt gross. Hotel rooms are dirty. Or you felt guilty. Eddie, how long has this been going on? Nothing is going on. How long, Tanya? She stood up abruptly, knocking her chair back. I don't have to listen to this. You're being paranoid and jealous and married to a woman who's screwing her coworker. I am not screwing Josh, but you want to. Silence. That's what you told Derek, isn't it? That you were thinking about it, testing the waters, seeing how far you could push before someone noticed. You don't know what you're talking about. Then help me understand. Explain to me why my wife is getting hotel rooms with other men. Explain why she's kissing my best friend at my birthday party. Explain why she's been coming home late, buying new underwear, and password protecting her phone. You've been going through my things? I've been living with you. Kind of hard to miss the changes. She walked to the window and stared out at our backyard. We'd planted those flower beds together 3 years ago. Built the deck where we used to have coffee on Sunday mornings, back when we still talked to each other about things that mattered. I'm not happy, she said quietly. So you decided to fix that by cheating. I haven't cheated. Yet. Yet, she admitted. At least she was being honest now. Sort of. What do you want, Tanya? Divorce? Permission? An open marriage? I don't know. Well, while you're figuring it out, I'm going to make some decisions of my own. She turned around. What kind of decisions? The kind that protect me while you decide whether you want to be married or not. I went upstairs and started packing a suitcase. Not for me. For her. What are you doing? She asked, following me into our bedroom. Giving you some space to think. You can't kick me out of my own house. It's not your house. It's in my name, bought with my money before we got married. You can stay at Josh's place, or Derek's, or the Hampton Inn. Your choice. I kept packing. Clothes, toiletries, the jewelry I'd bought her over the years. She stood there watching, not trying to stop me, not arguing anymore, just watching. How long? She asked. Until you decide what you want. And if I decide I want our marriage, then you'll have to prove it. How? I zipped up the suitcase and set it by the bedroom door. By ending whatever this is with Josh, by staying away from Derek, by being honest with me for the first time in months. And if I decide I don't want our marriage, then we'll make it official. She followed me downstairs as I carried her suitcase to the front door. I set it down and turned to face her. I love you, she said. I know you do, but you love the excitement more. That's not true, isn't it? When's the last time you looked at me the way you looked at Josh last night? When's the last time you flirted with me the way you flirted with Derek? She didn't answer. I've been married to you for 8 years, Tanya. I know when you're bored. I know when you're restless. I know when you're looking for something I can't give you. So you're just giving up. I'm refusing to compete for my own wife's attention. I opened the front door and picked up her suitcase. You've got my number. Call me when you decide. Eddie, wait. No, I'm done waiting. I've been waiting for you to come home on time, to put down your phone during dinner, to act like you want to be here. I'm done. She took the suitcase handle, her eyes filling with tears. What if I choose wrong? Then we'll both know where we stand. I watched her walk to her car, load the suitcase in the back, and sit in the driver's seat for a long time before starting the engine. She looked back at the house once before driving away. Then I went inside and changed all the locks. My sister Barb called an hour later. I just saw Tanya at the grocery store, she said without preamble. She looked like hell. What did you do? Nothing she didn't do first. Eddie. She's been cheating, Barb, or planning to. Same difference. Are you sure? Hotel receipts don't lie. Shit, I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. Where is she staying? Not my problem anymore. What are you going to do? Whatever it takes. I hung up and sat in my empty house, listening to the silence. No TV in the background, no hairdryer upstairs, no phone conversations about office drama. Just quiet. For the first time in months, I could think clearly. My phone rang around 6. Tanya. I'm staying at Michelle's, she said. Okay. Josh doesn't know anything about this. I haven't told him what happened. Okay. I want to work this out, Eddie. I want to save our marriage. Then prove it. How? Figure it out. I hung up and ordered pizza. Ate it in front of the TV, watching a baseball game I didn't care about. Around 9, Derek called. Hey man, I heard about you and Tanya. Word travels fast. Michelle called Val, Val called her husband, he called me. You know how it is. Yeah. Look, I'm sorry about what I told you this morning. Maybe I should have minded my own business. Maybe you should have minded your own business 8 months ago when this started. 8 months? Come on, Derek. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't know you've been flirting with my wife since your divorce? You think I don't know she's been eating up the attention? Silence. The only thing I don't know, I continued, is whether you actually slept with her or just wanted to. Eddie, which is it? We never, nothing physical happened, just talking. I don't know. She was friendly and I was lonely and you decided to see how far you could push it. It wasn't like that. What was it like? I don't know. Harmless flirting. Until last night when she kissed me, and then afterward when she said what? When she said she was thinking about leaving you. The pizza turned to cardboard in my mouth. She said that? Yeah, she said she was bored, that you two had grown apart, that she was thinking about what else was out there. And you encouraged her? No. I told her she was crazy, that you were a good guy, that she should work on her marriage instead of running away from it. How noble of you. Eddie, I never wanted this to happen. I never wanted to come between you two. But you did anyway. Yeah, I did. And I'm sorry. I hung up on him too. By 10 o'clock, I had 3 missed calls from Tanya, 2 from Michelle, and 1 from Josh Pierce. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I went down to my basement and started planning. Monday morning, I was installing new cabinet hardware for Mrs. Patterson on Elm Street when my phone started buzzing with texts. First from Michelle, then from Val, then from numbers I didn't recognize. The messages were all variations of the same theme. Is it true about Tanya? Heard about the separation. So sorry to hear about your marriage. By lunch, the whole town knew. That's how it works in Millbrook. Gossip travels faster than bad news, and this was both. I was eating a sandwich in my truck when old McGrath knocked on my window. Frank McGrath lived next door to us, kept odd hours since he retired, and saw everything that happened on our street. Heard Tanya moved out, he said when I rolled down the window. News travels fast. Travels faster when there's pictures. I stopped chewing. Pictures? McGrath pulled out his phone and showed me a grainy photo of Tanya and Josh Pierce walking into the Hampton Inn together. The timestamp showed Thursday night, 8:47 p.m. Took this when I was walking my dog, McGrath said. Didn't think much of it at the time, but after hearing about your troubles, I studied the photo. Tanya's hand was on Josh's arm. They were laughing about something. They looked like a couple. Can you send me that? Already did. Check your messages. I looked at my phone. There it was, along with a text from McGrath. Thought you should have this. Sorry, son. Thanks, Frank. That boy's been sniffing around for months. Saw him drive by your house plenty of times when you were at work. My grip tightened on the phone. How many times? Hard to say. Started noticing it back in the spring. Always slowed down when he passed, sometimes parked up the street for a while. Did you ever see him come to the house? Once or twice, when you were out on jobs. Never stayed long. I finished my sandwich and drove to Tanya's office. The building was a modern glass structure that housed several tech companies, including the one where Tanya worked as a project manager. I'd been there for holiday parties, company picnics, the occasional lunch date back when we still did things like that. I found Josh Pierce in the parking lot, smoking a cigarette by his car. When he saw me coming, his face went pale. Eddie, he said, dropping the cigarette and stepping on it. Hey. Josh. Look, about Saturday night. What about it? I heard you and Tanya are having some problems. I just want you to know that I had nothing to do with that. I pulled out my phone and showed him McGrath's photo. This says otherwise. He stared at the image, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. Where did you get this? Does it matter? Eddie, I can explain. I'm listening. Tanya was having problems at home. She needed someone to talk to. I was just being a friend. Friends don't get hotel rooms together. It wasn't like that. She was upset. She'd been drinking. I didn't want her to drive home. So you got her a room? How thoughtful. Yes, exactly. And then you stayed with her. Just to make sure she was okay. All night. I slept on the couch. Right, the same couch she told me she slept on. His face flushed red. Look, nothing happened. We talked, she cried a little. We both fell asleep. That's it. Josh, I said, stepping closer. Do you think I'm stupid? No, of course not. Then don't lie to me. I know my wife. I know when she's interested in someone. I know when she's planning something. And I know when she's found a willing participant. Eddie, how long have you been sleeping with her? I'm not... How long? He looked around the parking lot like he was hoping for rescue. Nothing physical has happened. Yet, he admitted, just like Tanya had. But you want it to. She's beautiful, and she's smart, and she's unhappy. I'm not made of stone. At least he was being honest. More honest than his girlfriend had been. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to stay away from my wife. You're going to stop texting her, stop calling her, stop having lunch with her. You're going to treat her like a coworker and nothing more. And if I don't, then everyone in this building is going to see that photo, along with copies of your text messages, your call logs, and whatever other evidence I can dig up. How do you think your boss will feel about you using company time to pursue married women? His face went from red to white. You can't do that. Watch me. I turned to walk away, then stopped. Oh, and Josh, if I find out you've been to my house again, we're going to have a very different kind of conversation. That evening, I went to the tavern on the ridge, the local bar where everyone went to drink, gossip, and pretend their lives were more interesting than they actually were. I wasn't much of a drinker, but I needed to be seen, needed people to know I was handling this situation like a man, not hiding at home feeling sorry for myself. Derek was there, sitting at the bar with a beer and a guilty expression. When he saw me come in, he looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. "Eddie," he said, as I approached, "I wasn't sure you'd want to see me." Why wouldn't I want to see my best friend? The sarcasm wasn't lost on him. Look, about what happened. You mean about you encouraging my wife to leave me? I didn't encourage her. I told her she was making a mistake. Before or after you kissed her back. He stared into his beer. I'm sorry. For which part? Kissing her or getting caught? For all of it. For being weak, for not shutting it down sooner, for letting it get this far. I ordered a whiskey and sat down next to him. How far did it get, Derek? What do you mean? I mean, did you sleep with her? No, God, no. Eddie, I would never. But you thought about it. I'm a man. She's a beautiful woman who was paying attention to me. Of course I thought about it. And she knew you were thinking about it. Probably. Which is why she felt comfortable enough to kiss you at my birthday party. Maybe. I sipped my whiskey and looked around the bar. Michelle was there with a group of women from Tanya's office, shooting glances in our direction and whispering. Val was at a corner table with her husband, doing the same thing. The whole place was buzzing with gossip about my marriage. You know what the funny thing is? I said to Derek. What? I'm not even surprised. I've known for months that something was wrong. I just didn't want to admit it. So, what are you going to do? Whatever it takes to protect myself. What does that mean? Before I could answer, Josh Pierce walked into the bar. He saw me immediately, hesitated, then came over anyway. Either he was braver than I thought, or stupider. Eddie, he said. Can we talk? We already talked. I mean really talk. Clear the air. Derek looked back and forth between us, sensing the tension. Maybe I should. Stay, I said. This concerns you too. Josh shifted uncomfortably. Look, I know how this looks, but I want you to know that I respect your marriage. I respect you. And I would never do anything to... To what? Sleep with my wife? Take her away from me? Destroy my family? To hurt you. But you're fine with hurting my marriage. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? He looked around the bar, noticing that people were watching us. Michelle had stopped pretending to talk to her friends. Val was openly staring. Even the bartender was listening. Maybe we should take this outside, Josh said. I'm comfortable here. How about you, Derek? You comfortable? Derek nodded miserably. Good, I said. So tell me, Josh, what are your intentions with my wife? I don't have any intentions. Sure you do. You've been circling her for months, driving by my house, taking her to hotels, being her shoulder to cry on. That takes intention. Eddie, are you planning to sleep with her? The bar had gone quiet. Even the music seemed softer. That's not... We're just friends. Friends who get hotel rooms together. It wasn't like that. I pulled out my phone and showed him McGrath's photo again, holding it up so everyone could see. What was it like? Josh's face went red again. Put that away. Why? Embarrassed? People are watching. Let them watch. Let them see what kind of man goes after another man's wife. Eddie, stop. Derek put a hand on my arm. I shook him off. No, I want to understand this. I want to understand how a man can look another man in the eye, shake his hand, come to his house, eat his food, and then scheme to steal his wife. I'm not scheming anything. Then explain the hotel room. Josh looked around desperately. The entire bar was watching now, waiting to see what would happen next. She was upset, he said quietly. She needed someone to talk to. About what? About feeling trapped. About feeling like she was missing out on life. And you offered to help her feel less trapped. I offered to listen. In a hotel room. She didn't want to go home. So you thought you'd give her an alternative. It wasn't like that. I stood up slowly, finishing my whiskey. Josh took a step back. You know what I think? I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I think you're a coward. I think you've been sniffing around my wife for months, waiting for your chance, and when she finally showed some interest, you jumped at it. But you're too much of a coward to admit it. That's not true. Prove it. Tell everyone here that you've never thought about sleeping with Tanya. Tell them that you got that hotel room out of pure friendship, with no ulterior motives. Josh opened his mouth, then closed it again. Can't do it, can you? Eddie, please. Because you know everyone here would see right through you, just like I did. I turned to address the bar. This is Josh Pierce, everyone. He works with my wife. He likes to help unhappy married women feel better about themselves. Real stand-up guy. That's enough, Josh said, his voice shaking with anger. Is it? Because I'm just getting started. He stepped toward me, fists clenched. You want to do this here? Do what? Have an honest conversation? Sure. You're trying to humiliate me. You humiliated yourself when you decided to go after a married woman. He swung at me then, a wild, angry punch that I saw coming from a mile away. I stepped aside and let his momentum carry him past me, then stuck out my foot. He went down hard, crashing into a table and sending drinks flying. The bar erupted in noise. People shouting, chairs scraping, someone calling for the bartender. Josh scrambled to his feet, his shirt torn and his face bleeding from where he'd hit the table. You son of a bitch, he snarled. Now who's embarrassing himself? I asked calmly. He came at me again, but Derek stepped between us. That's enough, both of you. Get out of my way, Derek. No, this is stupid. You're both acting like idiots. Josh wiped blood from his lip and glared at me over Derek's shoulder. This isn't over. Yes, it is, I said. It's over because you're going to stay away from my wife, stay away from me, and find someone else to play hero for. And if I don't? I smiled. Then next time, Derek won't be here to stop me. Josh looked around the bar at all the faces watching him, then pushed through the crowd and left. The noise gradually returned to normal, but I could feel people staring at me, whispering about what they'd just seen. Derek sat back down heavily. Jesus, Eddie, what the hell was that? That was me taking control of the situation. By starting a fight in a public bar? By letting everyone know where I stand. My phone buzzed with a text from Tanya. Josh told me what happened. We need to talk. I showed Derek the message. Looks like word travels fast. What are you going to tell her? The truth, that I'm done playing games. I finished Derek's beer and headed for the door. Behind me, I could hear the conversation starting up again, everyone eager to dissect what they'd just witnessed. By tomorrow, the whole town would know that Eddie Sanders wasn't going down without a fight. Tanya was waiting for me when I got home, sitting in her car in my driveway. She'd been crying. I could tell from the way her makeup was smudged, but she'd also been angry. The set of her jaw gave that away. We need to talk, she said, getting out of her car as I pulled in. About what? About you attacking Josh at the bar. I didn't attack him. He swung first. After you humiliated him in front of half the town. I unlocked my front door. Maybe he shouldn't have been sleeping with other men's wives. He wasn't sleeping with me. Yet. I went inside, leaving the door open behind me. She followed, slamming it hard enough to rattle the windows. This has gone too far, Eddie. Josh is talking about pressing charges. For what? Slipping and falling? For assault? Good luck proving that. 30 people saw him throw the first punch. She stood in our living room, my living room now, looking around like she was seeing it for the first time. What happened to us? You got bored. That's not fair. Isn't it? When's the last time you were excited to see me come home? When's the last time you asked about my day and actually listened to the answer? I listen. When's the last time you wanted to have sex with me instead of just going through the motions? She flinched. That's not... When, Tanya? She sat down on the couch, suddenly looking exhausted. I don't know. I do. It was before Christmas, 8 months ago, right around the time Josh started working at your company. This isn't all about Josh. No, it's about you being unhappy and instead of talking to me about it, deciding to look for happiness somewhere else. I tried to talk to you. When? Lots of times, but you were always working or tired or watching TV. You stopped seeing me, Eddie, really seeing me. So you found someone who would. Josh pays attention to me. He listens when I talk. He makes me feel interesting. And Derek? Derek was, I don't know, safe, familiar. Someone who knew me before I became this person I don't recognize. What person is that? A bored housewife who resents her husband for not being exciting enough. At least she was being honest. So what do you want? I asked. I want to fix this. I want us to go to counseling, work on our problems, remember why we fell in love. And Josh? I'll end it. Whatever it is, I'll end it. And Derek? Same thing. Just like that? Just like that. I studied her face, looking for signs of deception. She seemed sincere, but then again, she'd seemed sincere when she told me about sleeping on the hotel couch. Okay, I said. Okay? We can try counseling, but there are conditions. Such as? You move back in, but you sleep in the guest room until I trust you again. You give me complete access to your phone, your email, your social media. You quit your job. What? Eddie, I can't quit my job. You can't work with Josh anymore. Either he goes or you go. That's not fair. I've been there longer. I have seniority. Then talk to your boss. Explain the situation. Get him transferred or fired or whatever. I don't care. But you don't get to keep working with the man you were planning to cheat with. She was quiet for a long time. What if I can't make that happen? Then you choose, the job or the marriage. And if I choose the job, then we're done. Just like that? Just like that. She stood up and walked to the window. You're being unreasonable. I'm being practical. You can't rebuild trust while you're still spending 8 hours a day with the man you were going to leave me for. I wasn't going to leave you for Josh. No? Then who were you going to leave me for? I wasn't going to leave you for anyone. I was just exploring my options. Same thing. She turned back to me. What about Derek? What about him? Are you going to make him move away too? Derek's not my problem anymore. He made his choice when he decided to encourage you to leave your marriage. He didn't encourage me. He told me I was being stupid. After he kissed you back. It was just a kiss. It was a betrayal. From both of you. She sat back down, looking defeated. So what now? Now you decide what you want more, your marriage or your freedom. And if I choose my marriage, then you prove it, every day, until I believe you mean it. How long will that take? As long as it takes. My phone rang. Derek. Don't answer it, Tanya said. Why not? Because I know what he's going to tell you, and I don't want you to hear it from him. I answered anyway. What's up? Eddie, we need to talk. There's something you need to know about tonight. Such as? Not over the phone. Can you meet me at my place? I looked at Tanya. She was shaking her head. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Eddie, don't... Tanya started. Don't what? Don't believe everything Derek tells you. He's been drinking a lot since his divorce, and sometimes he gets confused about what really happened. Confused how? Just promise me you'll remember that people sometimes see things the way they want to see them, not the way they really are. I grabbed my keys. I'll be back. When? When I'm done. Derek lived in a rented house on the other side of town, a rundown place that had seen better days. His ex-wife had gotten their real house in the divorce, along with most of his money and all of his dignity. He'd been bitter about it for months. I found him on his back porch, drinking beer and smoking cigarettes. He looked like hell, unshaven, hollow-eyed, 20 pounds thinner than he'd been at Christmas. "Thanks for coming," he said. "What did you want to tell me?" "Sit down first." "I'll stand." "Eddie." "Just say it, Derek." He took a long pull from his beer. "After you left the bar tonight, Josh came back." "And?" He was pissed. Really pissed. Started shooting his mouth off about how you sucker punched him, how you were a jealous asshole, how Tanya deserved better. So? So Michelle was there, and she started talking. My stomach dropped. Talking about what? About how Tanya's been complaining about you for months, how she's been saying she made a mistake marrying you, how she's been planning to leave you since before Christmas. Since before Christmas. That's what Michelle said. She said Tanya's been looking at apartments, talking to lawyers, the whole thing. I sat down hard in one of Derek's lawn chairs. She's been planning this for 8 months? According to Michelle. And there's more. More? Josh isn't the first guy. There was someone else before him. Someone from her gym. The world tilted sideways. Who? I don't know. Michelle wouldn't say. But she said it was serious enough that Tanya was thinking about moving in with him. When was this? Spring sometime. March, maybe April. What happened? Guy turned out to be married too. His wife found out, threatened to tell you, so Tanya broke it off. I stared at Derek's backyard, trying to process what he was telling me. So Josh was what? Plan B? Looks like it. And Derek was Plan C? Derek flinched. I don't know, man, maybe. Jesus Christ. There's something else. What? Michelle said Tanya's been taking money out of your joint accounts. Small amounts, but regular. Like she's been building up a stash. How much? Michelle didn't know exactly, but enough to get her own place. I pulled out my phone and checked my banking app. Sure enough, there were withdrawals I didn't remember making. $20 here, $50 there, sometimes $100. Going back months. Son of a bitch. I'm sorry, Eddie. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear. When were you going to tell me all this? I didn't know most of it until tonight. I knew she was unhappy, I knew she was flirting, but I didn't know about the other guy or the money or any of the rest of it. But you knew she was planning to leave me. I suspected. And you didn't think I had a right to know? I thought it was just talk. People say things when they're upset that they don't really mean. Except, she did mean it. Yeah, she did. I stood up and started pacing around Derek's small porch. So what you're telling me is that my wife has been planning to leave me for 8 months, has already had at least one affair, is currently working on another one, and has been stealing money from our accounts to finance her escape. That's about the size of it. And you've known some of this for months. Eddie, have you slept with her? No. Have you wanted to? Yes. Have you encouraged her to leave me? Not exactly. What does that mean? I mean, I told her she should do whatever made her happy, which you knew meant leaving me. I thought it might. I stopped pacing and looked at him. You're not my friend. Eddie, friends don't do what you've done. They don't encourage each other's wives to leave their marriages. They don't kiss other men's wives at birthday parties. They don't keep secrets that could destroy someone's life. I know. I fucked up. Yeah, you did. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. But whatever it is, You're not going to be part of it. I left Derek on his porch and drove home. Tanya's car was still in my driveway. She was waiting in the kitchen, sitting at the table with a cup of tea. "What did Derek tell you?" she asked. "Everything. Eddie. The guy from the gym. What was his name?" Her face went white. "How did you— What was his name?" "It doesn't matter, it's over." "How long?" 2 months. "And Josh?" "Nothing happened with Josh, I swear. But something was going to happen. Maybe, I don't know." "And the money?" "What money?" I showed her my phone. "The money you've been taking out of our accounts." "That's just— I've been saving up for Christmas presents." "For 8 months?" "For a vacation. I wanted to surprise you." "With a divorce?" She started crying then, real tears this time. "Eddie, please. I know how this looks, but it's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." "It's me being stupid and confused and scared. It's me making mistakes because I didn't know how to talk to you about being unhappy. So you decided to cheat instead." "I didn't cheat. You planned to, with at least 2 different men." "I planned to leave. There's a difference." "Not to me." She reached across the table and grabbed my hand. "I can fix this. I can make it right." "How?" "However you want me to. I'll quit my job. I'll give you my phone. I'll do whatever it takes." "It's too late for that." "Why?" Tanya stood in the middle of the living room like she was waiting for the scene to rewind. Like if she just held her breath long enough, I'd soften, apologize for being dramatic, and put the world back the way she preferred it. Her suitcase was still by the couch, half-zipped, the handle extended like a quiet admission that she had already pictured leaving. Just not like this. Her eyes kept darting to my face, searching for the old version of me that used to negotiate with her tears. The man who would say, "Let's talk about it," even when talking only meant she got another chance to rearrange the truth. "So, what does that mean?" she asked again, voice cracking, as if the question itself could postpone the answer. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't pace. I didn't dramatize anything. I just let the certainty settle into my posture. "It means we're done." The words had weight, not because I wanted them to hurt, but because they were real. Tanya flinched like she'd been slapped. "Eddie, no!" She started, stepping toward me, hands out like she could physically pull the decision back into her control. "It means you can take your suitcase," I said, "and your stolen money and your backup plans, and get out of my house." Her face crumpled instantly, and she shook her head hard, fast, like a child refusing to accept a consequence. "This is my house, too." I let out a slow breath, almost pitying how desperately she clung to that illusion. "No," I said quietly. "It's not. It never was. And now it never will be." For a second she stared at me in stunned silence, and I watched the calculations running behind her eyes. Tanya was always most dangerous when she got quiet. Quiet meant she was choosing a new angle, a new story, a new weapon. But she didn't get one. I walked to the front door and opened it wide. Cold air pushed into the warm hallway like a judge entering a room. "Get out, Tanya." She stood frozen, lips trembling. "Please." "Get out," I repeated, and this time my voice sharpened only enough to cut through her denial. "Before I call the police and have you arrested for theft." That did it. Reality finally landed. Her shoulders sagged and the tears came, the kind that weren't pretty, the kind that made her breathing ugly and uneven. She looked at me like I was the one betraying her. "I love you," she whispered, as if saying it would obligate me to forgive her. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just let the truth stand where it belonged. "No," I said. "You don't. You love the idea of me. You love having a safety net. You love having someone to fall back on when your other plans don't work out." "That's not true," she said quickly, too quickly. Her voice rose into a thin, frantic pitch. "You're twisting this. You always twist things when you're angry." "I'm not angry," I said. "I'm awake." She wiped her cheeks with shaking fingers, then looked around the room like the furniture itself might testify in her defense. The framed photos on the bookshelf, the throw blanket she'd bought, the couple's picture from last summer on the mantel, the one where she'd pressed her cheek against mine and told everyone we were solid. "What about our things?" she asked, voice small now, trying to salvage something she could still control. "Our pictures, our furniture, our memories?" I tilted my head. "What about them? Don't they mean anything to you?" Her eyes searched mine, desperate for any crack, any softness, any pause she could wedge hope into. I felt my throat tighten, not because I missed her, but because the word memories still had teeth. It was one thing to throw someone out. It was another to admit that they had lived in your life long enough to leave fingerprints on your heart. "They mean everything to me," I said. "Which is why I'm not going to let you destroy them." Tanya's mouth opened like she wanted to argue, but nothing came out. She looked down at the suitcase like she'd forgotten it was there. Then she picked it up with both hands, as if it weighed more than it should. She took 2 steps toward the door, then stopped and looked back once more. Her face was streaked with tears, but her eyes had shifted, less pleading, more resentful, like she was already rewriting the story in her head to make herself innocent again. "If you do this," she said softly, "you'll regret it." I held her gaze. "Go," I said, and my voice was final. She stepped outside. The cold hit her and she shivered, and for the briefest moment she looked fragile enough to make me hesitate. Then I remembered the missing money, the secret account, the texts she'd deleted, the way she'd smiled at me and called it love while she built an exit behind my back. I closed the door, then I locked it. The click of the deadbolt sounded like punctuation. I stood in the entryway for a long time, not moving, letting the silence expand. It was the kind of silence you only get after someone leaves and takes their noise with them. No television, no footsteps, no familiar sigh from the couch. Just the hum of the fridge and the faint tick of the clock like a metronome counting a new life into existence. Upstairs, the bedroom felt like a museum of a relationship that had died slowly. Her perfume still lingered in the closet. A pair of her earrings sat in the dish by the dresser, tiny and bright, like proof she'd been real. The bed was unmade from last night, one pillow slightly dented where her head had been. I didn't sit down. I grabbed a cardboard box from the storage closet and set it on the bed like a casket. Then I opened drawers. Photos first. The ones where we looked happy. The ones where I remembered the day and realized now that the happiness had been one-sided. I slid each frame into the box carefully, because even if the person in them had lied, the version of me in those pictures had been honest. Then the small things, the notes, the souvenirs, the shirts she borrowed and never returned, the mug with our inside joke printed on it, suddenly stupid and painful. Each item went into a box, and with each box the room felt less like a trap and more like a cleared space. I didn't throw anything away. Not yet. This wasn't about rage. It was about separation. About removing her access to the parts of my life she didn't deserve to touch anymore. Downstairs, my phone buzzed once. Probably her. Probably another plea. I didn't look. She had said enough. By the time midnight came, the hallway was lined with boxes like a quiet procession. The walls looked strangely bare where her decorations used to be. The air felt cleaner, colder, like it was finally allowed to move freely. I sat on the edge of the bed for the first time all night and stared at the packed boxes, feeling the weight of what I'd just done settle into my bones. It hurt. Of course it hurt. But it was a clean hurt. The kind that heals because it isn't being reopened every day by the same hands. By morning, everything that connected her to this house would be gone. not because I wanted to erase the past, but because I refused to let her keep living in my future. The next 3 weeks were the longest of my life. Tanya called constantly, begging me to reconsider. Derek stopped by twice, wanting to apologize and work things out. Josh Pierce had the balls to show up at one of my job sites, claiming he wanted to clear the air. I ignored them all. Instead, I focused on gathering information. I hired a private investigator, a woman named Carol, who specialized in divorce cases. She was expensive but thorough. Within a week, she had everything I needed. Photos of Tanya and Josh at 3 different restaurants over the past month. Bank records showing the money transfers I'd suspected. Phone records proving they'd been in constant contact since before my birthday party. And most damaging of all, text messages between Tanya and Michelle discussing her exit strategy. The texts were brutal. Tanya calling me boring and predictable. Tanya complaining about our sex life, our social life, our entire life together. Tanya planning to take half of everything I owned and start fresh with someone who actually understood her. But Carol found something else too. Something that changed everything. "Your wife's been smarter than you think," Carol said, sitting in my living room with a folder full of evidence. "She's been planning this for almost a year." A year? The money transfers started last November, small amounts at first, but they've been increasing. She's got almost $8,000 in a separate account you don't know about. 8,000? And she's been documenting everything. Every argument you've had, every time you've raised your voice, every time you've been less than perfect. She's building a case for emotional abuse. My blood ran cold. Emotional abuse? It's a common tactic in no-fault divorce states. If she can prove you were emotionally abusive, she can claim she needs spousal support to recover from the trauma. But I was never abusive. Doesn't matter. It's her word against yours, and she's got a paper trail, diary entries, text messages to friends, even some recordings. Recordings? Phone conversations. Looks like she's been recording your fights for months. I stared at the folder in Carol's hands. So she's been planning to destroy me. She's been planning to protect herself, and she's been very thorough about it. What can I do? Carol smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. We can be thorough too. That's how I learned about Tanya's other secrets. The credit cards she'd opened in my name. The loans she'd taken out against my business without my knowledge. The lies she'd told her family about our marriage, painting herself as the victim of a controlling husband. But most interesting of all was what Carol discovered about Josh Pierce. "Your wife's boyfriend has a history," Carol said. "This isn't his first married woman." "What do you mean?" "I mean, he's done this before. 3 times, actually. Always the same pattern. Target an unhappy wife, play the supportive friend, gradually escalate to an affair, then disappear when things get complicated." Disappear how? New job, new city, new identity. He's been using different names. Josh Pierce is just his latest alias. You're kidding. I never kid about fraud. Your wife's been played by a professional. Does she know? I doubt it, but she's about to find out. Carol's plan was beautiful in its simplicity. Instead of trying to prove my innocence, we were going to prove Tanya's guilt. Instead of defending myself against her accusations, we were going to go on the offense. The first step was the town meeting. Every month, Millbrook held a community meeting where residents could bring up local issues. It was usually boring stuff: road repairs, zoning disputes, complaints about barking dogs. But this month, I had something more interesting to discuss. I arrived early and set up my laptop and projector. By 7 o'clock, the community center was packed. Word had gotten around that Eddie Sanders was going to address his personal situation, and nobody wanted to miss the show. Tanya was there, sitting in the back with Michelle and Val. Josh was there too, looking nervous. Derek had wisely stayed home. "Good evening," I said, standing at the podium. "Thank you all for coming. I know you're here because you've heard rumors about my marriage, and I thought it was time to set the record straight." I clicked to my first slide, a photo of Tanya and Josh at the Hampton Inn. This is my wife, Tanya Sanders, and her co-worker, Josh Pierce. This photo was taken 3 weeks ago, the night my wife told me she was working late. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Tanya's face had gone pale. I'm not here to air my dirty laundry, I continued. I'm here because I've discovered that Josh Pierce is not who he claims to be. I clicked to the next slide, a police report from Denver. This is a report filed by Jennifer Martinez, whose husband left her after having an affair with a man named John Peterson. John Peterson worked at the same company as Jennifer, befriended her when she was having marital problems, and convinced her to leave her husband and run away with him. Another click, another police report. This is a report filed by Susan Chen, whose husband left her after having an affair with a man named Jake Phillips. Jake Phillips worked at the same company as Susan, befriended her when she was having marital problems, and convinced her to leave her husband and run away with him. The crowd was getting restless. People were turning to stare at Josh, who was trying to sink into his chair. John Peterson, Jake Phillips, and Josh Pierce are the same person, I said. A con man who targets unhappy married women, seduces them, takes their money, and disappears. I clicked to the final slide, a driver's license photo showing Josh's real name and criminal history. His real name is Jason Paul Hendricks. He's wanted in 3 states for fraud, identity theft, and grand larceny. And he's been living in our town for 6 months, working at our local businesses, targeting our wives and daughters. The community center erupted. People were shouting, pointing, demanding answers. Josh tried to run, but 2 of the men from the volunteer fire department blocked the exits. The police have been notified, I announced over the noise. Jason Hendricks will be arrested tonight. I looked directly at Tanya. She was staring at me with a mixture of horror and disbelief. I want everyone to know that my wife was a victim in this situation, I said. She was targeted by a professional criminal who exploited her vulnerabilities and manipulated her emotions. She's not a cheater. She's a victim of fraud. It was a lie, of course. Tanya had been planning to leave me long before Josh arrived, but it was a useful lie, one that painted me as the forgiving husband and her as the deceived wife. The meeting dissolved into chaos as the police arrived to arrest Josh. I packed up my equipment and headed for the door, but Tanya intercepted me in the parking lot. How did you find out? She asked. Does it matter? Eddie, I'm so sorry. I had no idea he was a criminal. Yeah, I figured that out. What happens now? Now you come home. Really? Really. We're going to work on our marriage just like you wanted. She started crying again. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. No, you don't. But I'm feeling generous. We drove home together, and for the first time in months, Tanya seemed genuinely happy. She talked about counseling, about making changes, about being a better wife. I nodded and smiled and let her believe it was all going to work out. But I had other plans. Over the next 2 weeks, I was the perfect husband. I brought Tanya flowers, took her to dinner, listened to her talk about her feelings and her fears and her gratitude for my forgiveness. I was patient and understanding and supportive. And while I was being the perfect husband, Carol was being the perfect investigator. She traced every dollar Tanya had stolen, every lie she'd told, every plan she'd made to destroy my life. She documented everything, photographed everything, recorded everything. And then she helped me plan the perfect revenge. The plan required timing, patience, and a complete understanding of Tanya's psychology. I had to make her feel safe, loved, and completely secure in our reconciliation. I had to make her believe she'd gotten away with everything. It took 3 weeks, but finally, Tanya relaxed her guard completely. She stopped checking her phone obsessively. She stopped jumping when I walked into a room unexpectedly. She started talking about our future again, making plans for vacations and home improvements, and maybe even having children. That's when I struck. It was a Saturday morning. Tanya was making breakfast, humming to herself, completely content with how things had worked out. She dodged a bullet with Josh, reconciled with her husband, and kept all her secrets safe. Or so she thought. "Honey," I said, sitting down at the kitchen table with my coffee. "We need to talk." "About what?" she asked, flipping pancakes. "About your affair with Marcus Webb." The spatula clattered to the floor. Marcus Webb was the man from the gym, the one Derek had mentioned, the one Tanya thought no one knew about. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said without turning around. "Sure you do. March through May. You met him at the CrossFit gym on Maple Street. He was married too, which made it exciting. You were planning to leave me for him until his wife found out and threatened to tell me everything." Tanya slowly turned to face me. "How did you—" "The same way I found out about Josh. The same way I found out about the money you stole, the lies you told, the plans you made to destroy my reputation. Eddie, the same way I found out about the credit cards you opened in my name, the loan you took out against my business, and the recordings you made of our private conversations." She sat down heavily in the chair across from me. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand that I know everything, every lie, every betrayal, every scheme you've been planning for the past year." "So what now? Are you going to divorce me? Throw me out? Destroy my life the way I tried to destroy yours?" "No. No. I'm going to give you a choice." "What kind of choice?" I pulled out a folder and set it on the table between us. "You can sign these papers, which transfer all of our shared assets to me, acknowledge your theft of marital funds, and waive any claim to spousal support. And if I don't, then I release everything I know to your family, your friends, your coworkers, and the local newspaper. Every photo, every text message, every piece of evidence showing what you really are." She opened the folder and read through the papers. "This leaves me with nothing. You'll have your car, your clothes, and whatever money you've got in your secret account. That's more than you deserve." "Eddie, please. You have 10 minutes to decide." "What about counseling? What about working on our marriage?" "Our marriage ended the day you decided to cheat on me. Everything since then has just been me figuring out how to end it on my terms instead of yours." She stared at the papers for a long time. "You've been planning this for weeks, while pretending to forgive me, while gathering evidence to protect myself. You lied to me. I learned from the best." She picked up the pen and signed every page without reading them. When she was done, she looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "I really did love you, you know." "No, you didn't. You loved the security I provided. You loved having someone to fall back on when your other plans didn't work out. But you never loved me." "That's not true." "Prove it." "How?" "Name one thing about me that you love that has nothing to do with what I can do for you." She opened her mouth, then closed it again. "That's what I thought." She stood up slowly and walked to the door. "What am I supposed to do now?" "Whatever you want. You're free." "I don't want to be free. I want to be married to you. You should have thought of that before you decided to destroy our marriage." She left then, taking only her purse and her car keys. I watched from the window as she sat in her car for a few minutes, crying and making phone calls. Then she drove away. I never saw her again. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. Tanya didn't contest anything. She couldn't, given what I had on her. She moved back to her hometown in Ohio, where her family took her in and helped her start over. Derek tried to apologize a few more times, but eventually gave up and moved to Portland. Michelle and Val avoided me at the grocery store. The whole town treated me like a hero for standing by my wife during the Josh Pierce scandal, never knowing the real truth. I kept the house, the business, and my dignity. Tanya kept her secrets, her shame, and her regrets. And every morning when I wake up in my quiet house, I remember the look on her face when she realized I'd been playing the same game she was, just better.